My name is Linda Lovisa. We are going to be exploring the complements of red and green. All right, so last couple of weeks we've explored the violet and yellow, and we also explored orange and blue. And today we're going to explore the red and green. So what I've done is I have sort of set up a little bit of a color chart here with some of the mixtures that you can get mixing red and green together. Now, I've not used a pre-made tube green. I'm using the ultramarine blue with some of my yellows, or cobalt blue, or cerulean blue, so you have a lot more variety. And the topic today is going to be peppers. So I'm going to do a green pepper and a red peppers, and we're going to explore how that's going to work. Now, the last couple of times I started off with the background first. Today I'm going to start off with the subject first, which is this little trio of peppers. So I'm just going to show you, this is a canvas that that's not really stretched, it's just attached to the board, just as a refresher as to how I set things up. And I've just boarded it with the tape. Just gives it a really nice finished edge when I'm done. Now, let's start off. Now I've conditioned my brush. So remember, a conditioning brush is one of the most important things that you need to do. And so it's nice and flexible. You can see how it's nice and flexible. So let's get started with the peppers. I've got two red and a green. Now, I don't really want to do the green one in the middle. So I'm going to do two red and a green over here, and we'll see how that works out. So I'm going to start off with the red medium. I did a tonal wash on my canvas with the red medium, so that gave me just a base, really. It's not going to show or anything like that, but I just wanted to prepare it and do my sketch right on the canvas ahead of time, so that I'm not having to take up precious time getting it all drawn in. So here we go, there's a red pepper. How quick was that? Now, the other red pepper I'm going to do over here. Now, there's a shadow area over here. I'm just going to paint that in with the red deep this time. So that's red medium, red deep over here. And I'm just going to bring that in like so. There's a shadow area here and a shadow area here. Now, the shadows I'm going to do a little bit, have some fun with those shadows a little later. Now back into the red medium, and I didn't rinse my brush or anything, don't really have to. There we go, let's get that in there. I'm using a really nice amount of paint, by the way. And now this one here is going to be green, so I'm just going to deposit a little bit more paint over here. All right, let's get a green brush happening. Okay, so I'm going to use a similar size brush, and this one as well has been conditioned, so it's nice and flexible, and it's going to pick up the paint. Now for my green, I'm going to use the ultramarine blue with the yellow medium. So I've just did a double pickup with the ultramarine blue was first, and the yellow medium was added on top. Now let's play. There we go. Look at that. Instant green. Isn't that beautiful? There we go. Let's get that in there. Now the shadow side of our, whoops, I don't want to cover up the stem. There's a stem that goes like this. So let's just get, I'm just going to switch to a yellow deep, the R light yellow actually. I'm just going to do this part here and a different blue. So I'm using the cerulean blue. And I'm just going to block that in like so. And a little bit more paint, because that stem area is a little bit lighter. So I picked up the yellow light. So on our little chart, it's something like this. Oh, see, just like that. And all right, now let's pick up the ultramarine blue, and I am also going to just kind of just bring that in a little bit over here, a little bit more, And you'll see what happens when I add the red to that in a moment. And over here as well. And over here. There we go. Bring that down. Okay. Now, I've got two brushes loaded, one with the red and one with the green. Now this one here, I've used a number of different yellows on it and a couple of different blues, but it's still a green brush. So what happens when I go into these red peppers is I'm going to get the shadow colors. So I'm just going to start to bring that in. And you'll see some of these shadow. I didn't elaborate on the range here because you could probably mix those colors till the end of time and still have lots that you can mix and mix and mix. And this was where I put the red deep, so I'm just going to add a bit more of that green there where the red deep is. I'm just going to switch brushes and I'm going to feather that in a little. Now, why is it important? Well, it's not really important, but it's really good to know what the complements can do for you, because when you're working in a painting and you want something, you want a color to really stand out or create some depth, knowing what colors that you use together to create a shadow color, for example, or to make something really pop in, whether you're doing a landscape or a still life, it doesn't really matter. But knowing that the complements can help you to bring some of those shadow areas, where they really make the other colors, they play well with the other colors, and it's not going to clash. You're not going to get, colors that are not compatible, I guess you could say. So, this is my green pepper, so I'm just going to go back into the green. I'm going to pick up yellow and blue, and let's see what I've got here. There we go. Now, I really want to get that stem in there. There we go. Already looks pretty, and there's hardly anything that I've hardly done anything. Now this brush has a little bit of green on it, so see how that works there, where it's, given that shadow area. I'm just going to flip that over and bring that over. There we go. And a little bit of that up here too. Now all I have to do is just bring a little bit of that green over here, like that. Now that might be a little bit much, but we'll see what happens. Now red is a very powerful color, and it will take care of that in a jiffy. Here we go. I love the color red, and it is probably one of my favorite colors to work with. A lot of people find it difficult working with red, but I do love the red. Okay, so now I'm just going to pick up a little bit. So I've got a couple of different reds on my chart here. There's the red deep, the red medium, and red light. And you're probably thinking, okay, red light, that's orange, but it's actually not orange at all. It's just a red that is warmer than the other two reds. And I'm just going to indicate a little bit where the highlights are on the peppers. Just tiny little touches here. Could use a little bit more. And of course, to get those highlights to really, really shine, you would, you could add a little bit of yellow to that, or of course your white. Now you have to remember that your white is going to give you a tint, and that might not be what you're looking for. I'll find out here. Let's give this a little bit more color. and a little bit more of that yellow medium. That's what I'm picking up right now. Just adding a little bit more. There we go, starting to take shape. Now this area here needs to be in shadow, so I'm just going to tap my brush on my palette just to push the color forward and do something like that. Switch brushes. There we go. Blend that in a little bit more. I'm just going to pick up more of the ultramarine blue. There we go, a little bit more shadow there. And more of the red light. Just tap that in. Now I'm going to add some white to that, but notice how I'm picking up the white with a different brush. And I just don't want to contaminate these two brushes. What I mean by that is I don't want them to be a tint. So by picking up the white with a separate brush, then I can do a little bit of a blend without it. There we go. Something like that. And whoops. Oh, I forgot about that. Not to worry, just add a little bit of green. No sense in panicking, just add that green. Now let's deal with this background. Okay, what I like to do, I'm not going to use this white brush. I'll add highlights when things are a little bit drier. What I like to do when I'm working with complements is I like to do a blend for the background. And with the red and the green, I'm going to really do a really nice, rich background color here. I'm offloading my red brush at the bottom here, and I'm just going to set it aside for now. I'm going to pick up the ultramarine blue, and I'm going to dot it. More of the ultramarine blue. And how about some cobalt blue as well? There we go. So now we've got ultramarine blue and cobalt blue. And as you can see, when you add red to green, you get some really nice earth tones. So that's what's going to happen back here. Now let's pick up the red medium. So now this green brush is now going to become an earth tone. And let's get that blended in. And isn't that pretty already? It's, there we go. Really nice, dark, rich color. Let's pick up more blue and more yellow. And I am picking up the yellow medium. And there we go. And let's pull that down. I'm almost there. There we go. And then I've got a really good block in. Notice how that deposit of red that I did earlier is giving me a different color than what's behind it. Just going to pull some of this color over, like so. Move that color over. Now the advantage of using a lot of paint on your canvas is that you can pull color over from other areas and picking up more blue and more yellow. And there we go. I'll add a little bit of red over here. So I'm going to use the red deep this time and add it beside that green pepper. Now there is still a lot to do to this little study, And they are studies. You're exploring different combinations. So just remind yourself of that. They're not meant to be like a work of art in the sense, and sometimes they are, but you know, you're just exploring what the color can do for you. And that looks more like an apple at the moment. But let's see if we can bring a little bit of a brighter highlight to that. And let's do this, and you know how the peppers have an interesting shape. Let's see if we can have that happening in here. A little bit more of a pepper shape. There we go. And that's your little lesson on complements today, using the red and the green. And you can see that there is such a variety of color here. I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, I should take the tape off just so you can see it without the tape on there. Let's do that. Let's see here. There we go. I love doing this, by the way. This is one of my favorite things to do. And it just makes it so fun to see when you've got a border on it. It's, there we go, almost there. Oops, I got, this thing was definitely not going to come apart on me, that's for sure. There we are. Okay, so any of the little things that I'm going to add to this between, it's not really, I wouldn't say it's complete. So it's just, like I said, it's just a little exercise. And thank you for your patience on the whole tape thing. There we go. And here we are. There you go. Now it's got some really nice warm colors in there, and it's really starting to come together. It just needs a few highlights. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you experiment with this as well. Thank you for watching today, and I hope you enjoyed today's little segment on the complements. Now, I'd like you to subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to hit the notification button. And I'd also love to hear your comments. One more thing, I do have an online class that I present every Tuesday, and you can check out my website for what's coming up soon, and that is lindalovisa.artcanada.ca. Have a great day.